You know, I have a confession to make. I love Sonic the Hedgehog. The Sonic series has changed my life and I have no idea where I would be without it. Sure, I may not like all of the games, but that doesn't change the fact that whenever a new game is announced, I'm always happy to get it. And since I didn't play Sonic game for over 2 years now, I think it's time I fix that. So let's start on the start. Let's talk about Sonic the Hedgehog 1. So, as you probably noticed, Sonic the Hedgehog is a 2D action platformer, with great level design and momentum-based controls. But before we talk about gameplay, let's talk about the story. Sonic needs to stop evil Dr. Eggman. There, that's the story, let's talk about the gameplay. At first this might seem as generic 2D platformer, but the more you play, the more you notice that this game actually takes a lot of risks. For instance, it's not really linear. Yes, you only need to get from point A to point B, but the levels are open-ended, and how you get to the end is only up to you. Mix that with great controls, beautiful visuals and fantastic music, and you have a great game to play. Compared to other games, Sonic's moveset is fairly limited. You can only run, jump and roll. That's it. It works very well, but it feels kinda lacking compared to other games. Thankfully, at least the game is designed around it, so it's not a big problem. Not to mention, limited moveset aside, Sonic controls really fucking well in this game. Jumping feels great and it's very responsive, which is something you absolutely need in a platformer. Not to mention, your jump is also your attack. Rolling is also useful to attack enemies, and to help you get some speed if you do it downhill. Combine this with great level design and mostly well designed enemies, and you have highly addictive and very satisfying game. So, since you're going against different types of enemies and Crazy Doctor with his inventions, you need something to protect yourself. After all, you don't want to lose that precious life. So in this game, instead of dying in one hit or having standard health bar, this game uses ring system. All throughout the game you're collecting rings. If you collect 100 of them, you'll get extra life. And if you'll get hit, you lose them and only few of them can be picked up again. It works pretty well, but honestly, I'm not a fan of this. Mostly because if you have one ring and get hit, you can collect it again and keep getting hit and collecting it again. You see the problem? It's way too easy to exploit and it makes bosses pretty much unfailable. Other than rings, you can also collect these power-ups that are in monitors for some reason. You have a shield that allows you to take a hit without losing your rings, invincibility which speaks for itself, and the speed shoes. In my opinion, the most useless power-up in this game. So to finish the game you have to go through 6 zones, each one having 3 acts, third one always ending with a boss fight. You know what? Let's go through all of them. Green Hill Zone, easily the most iconic one in the entire series. It's beautiful, music is great, level design is really good, and it does great job introducing you to mechanics and gameplay. It also allows me to show you this bullshit. Yes, the infamous invincibility frame glitch. It only happens on spikes and nothing else. I don't know how did they program it, but it is what it is. Boss of this zone is Eggman trying to crush you with Big Ball. It's pretty good first boss fight, unless you find this hidden invincibility and then cheese him like it's nothing. Marble Zone. This zone completely changes the pace. It's mostly linear and it makes you deal with precise platforming, some traps and very basic puzzles. Because of that, most people don't really like this zone, but in my opinion, this is the best zone in this entire game. Not only are the music and visuals gorgeous, but it really gets you into the controls. All of these traps and precise jumps really help you to master the controls, and that's something you're definitely gonna need in the later levels. And despite being linear, there's actually a lot of side pockets where you can get extra lives. The boss is better than in the first level as well, because you cannot cheese it with invincibility. But yeah, overall this was a great level, and fuck you Sonic Mania for not including it! Spring Yard Zone. This zone is like a combination of Green Hill Zone and Marble Zone. Levels are open-ended with a lot of secrets and alternate routes, but there's also a lot of precise platforming. Overall this is still a really fun level. It even has pretty creative boss fight. Labyrinth Zone. Oh yes, the infamous water level in this game. Everyone's most hated part, but not mine. I mean sure, some of the traps are downright evil, but come on, it's not that hard. Controls underwater are perfectly fine. And Sonic's limited air also isn't that much of an issue since there's air bubbles everywhere. My main issue with this level is how slow it is. I mean sure, Marble Zone was slower, but this level is... it kinda drags at times. It doesn't even really have a boss, it's just this annoying platforming section. Starlight Zone. In my opinion, this is the worst zone of this game. Sure, it's somewhat fast, but it's long, it's boring, and the music sounds like you're off to Sonic's funeral. Not to mention most of it are bottomless pits, and if that's not enough, suicidal enemies you cannot hurt. Well, at least the boss is somewhat creative, even though it's piss easy. Scrap Brain Zone. The final zone and easily the toughest one. I hope you mastered your controls and know how to use speed correctly, because if not, you will have a really bad time in this level. This zone is different from the others because every act has different aesthetic, not to mention its own unique set of traps. Gotta say, I think the first two acts are great, they really test your platforming skills and your speed skills. The third act is which I fucking hate. Remember Labyrinth Zone? Well, imagine that with more traps, more enemies, less air bubbles, and if that's not enough, the air bubbles take longer to get out. The final area you have to conquer before you get into Final Zone is the worst in this game. Scrap Brain Zone doesn't even end with boss fight. And that's because it's final boss time in the Final Zone. You face the final boss with no rings or shield. Thankfully it's designed around it, and it's pretty intense boss fight. Not to mention the epic music and the sweet feeling of victory once you defeat him. So yeah, we finished the game, we talked about the zones, but there's still one more thing to talk about. The worst thing in this game, the Chaos Emeralds. So when you finish first two acts of first 5 zones, with 50 rings or more, a giant ring appears at the end of the stage and you can jump into it. Once you do that, you have to finish special stage in order to get the Chaos Emerald. There's 6 of them, so you have to do it successfully 6 times out of 10. And these special stages are garbage. First, they hurt my eyes. Second, they control like shit. And third, even if you don't want to do them, it's still better to do it because if you get 50 rings in them, you'll get continue. And that's the only way to get new continues in this game. When you get the Chaos Emerald, you'll get jack shit. And when you get all of them, it just slightly changes ending cutscene. No reward, no nothing. Okay, so this was Sonic the Hedgehog. It may be rough around the edges here and there, but it's still one of my favorite Sonic games. With great level design, great controls, great music and great visuals, I have no problem recommending it to anyone. And if you're just starting with the series, this is a great starting point. Sonic 1 is still a great game, but most people will tell you second one is better. So in the next video we're gonna speed through it and see how it holds up. So thank you for watching and stay way past cool.